Hey everyone, how's it going? Do a little special video today because I've noticed a lot of people don't understand quite how the battle system in this game works. At least they don't fully utilize it to its maximum. So I want to go over a couple things here, what I'm just going to call the basics of battle, that you should be focusing on and trying to do every single time you're in a fight. Especially if you're playing manually. If you're playing auto, this really doesn't matter, and even I play auto, but this is going to be for people that play on manual, either for a hard fight or things like that, to maximize the amount of damage that you can do and efficiency in fights. So the first thing I want to go over is your team building. It's obviously the most important part of any aspect of this game. If you don't have a proper team build, you're going to get cooked. Simple as that, right? So a team build needs to be built around what you're going to be fighting, right? So let's just take this as an example. Here is a build that I have. It's the same one. This is the build I've been using to clear Sephiroth fights right now. And I have Sephiroth here, young Sephiroth, Aerith, and Cloud. Everything is completely manually set up here. Nothing was done automatically. Now, if I go and I set auto, here's what's going to happen. If I go and let's just say I go and make a new party here, we're going to set up the same exact team. We're not going to touch anything. We're going to go bam. We're going to put a new character here. There's Sephiroth. We're going to go ahead and then throw Cloud on the other end over here. And there he is. And then we're just going to automatically set them up, right? So they're here, they're set up, and now we just want to set it up, have them taken care of. Bam. Big difference. Completely different than what I originally had set up on that other team. Some of the materia in here doesn't make any sense. Like you have Sephiroth over here. He's got a sub-ice weapon. It's just, everything's just all over the place. Doesn't make any sense. So, number one most important thing I'd recommend in this game, avoid using auto party at all costs. It doesn't do any good. It's terrible. Everything in these teams makes no sense. I mean, if I look at my sub-weapons, like they've made Sephiroth my main attacker. This isn't even an attack weapon for that matter, you know. As Aerith over here, there's no healing. There's like a single target heal, no party healing. I really just don't know. You got physical weapons over here, and then you got Cloud. Cloud's probably the only one they set up decently well, actually, except for this random stick. Don't know why it's there, but it's there, and no matter when I make an auto team, it is there. It is like no matter where I go, that stick is there. It follows me. So, number one thing, team building, very, very important. It's important to know how the team building works. So we're just going to use this as an example, this team that was just set up for us automatically. So we're going to say Sephiroth, he's our magic user, right? So what do we want to do? Well, we want to focus on his magic damage. Number one, first and foremost, you want to focus on the gear. What gear are they using? So right now, if I take a look at the different gear, the different stats here, I see this one's got boost magic attack. This one has HP. This one's got HP. So if I'm looking for a specific element, perfect. Pick that element. That's the best way to go. But if I'm not picking an element, I want to maximize damage, then I go for what's here. So this one has Frostblade Arcanums. Arcanums always give you the highest elemental percentage. Elemental attacks in this game are going to be the highest thing. So for Sephiroth here, I'm going to actually want to swap these, right? So because if I look at this edged wings here, it's got high magic attack. And that's what I'm focusing on, high magic attack and ice. So it complements perfectly with his gear. So we want to equip that there. Now, this is the way this works too. Is the weapon that you have equipped on the main hand, you get 100% of the R abilities boosts here. So if you get 34 points, it gives me 34 points because it is in my main hand. Every other weapon, no matter where it is at, if it's in my secondary slot or if it's in my sub-equipment, I will only get half of the stats and I will only get half of the R ability. So I won't get a full amount. So for instance, this one here has 27 points to attack. I'm not actually going to get a full 27. I'm going to get half that and it rounds down. So I'm going to get 13 to my boost attack. Same thing with physical defense. I'm only going to get 12 instead of, you can see right here, it says 12. I'm only getting half of that. So you need to always take that into consideration. With both with your secondary weapon and your sub weapons, you want it to complement your setup, and you need to, you know, the better you understand the systems here, the better you can make a good team. Your limit break and your summons comes into this as well. A little known thing that people seem to not know. As long as you have any kind of element here that is over, the potency is over, just all it needs to be is just over level 2, so just 5 points, you will automatically do more damage with a highest level summon that's the multi-target than you will your regular limit break because of that boosted element. Now, this won't always be the case if an enemy is resistant to an element or something like that, but when they aren't, even if you're always going to hit for neutral damage, in this case, we would be hitting for ice, I would want to throw Diamond Dust Shiva on there. I'm going to do far more damage than I would with any of his normal limit breaks. The next thing up you need to focus on is materia. You always want to check out, hey, how is this materia going to benefit me? First thing you want to look at, honestly, is your materia abilities here on the right side. What is the support? So this one does 20% magic damage. This one down here, X sigils get a +2 count. So you need to focus on these. So that means down here at the bottom, you want to throw your X sigil if that's what you're using. If you're not using an X sigil, I recommend throwing any other sigil down here. These other 2 slots, if I don't need them whatsoever, I can put whatever I need. Say, hey, I am fighting an enemy. He's only weak to ice. I can throw whatever I want. So then what you do here in these situations is you want to organize and focus on a stat, right? So I'm saying, hey, I want to get big magic attack. So then what I can do is come over here. I can look at these, toggle, take a look. Okay, hey, look, this one gives me 5.2% to magic attack, 1.6% to HP. Hey, that's pretty good. It gives good magic attack. I can look at this healing Isuna. It gives me magic attack and some nice defense stats. Never underestimate defense stats, because even though they're flat and they seem small, they're very, very, very big and important. So that's how you want to set up your teams. Really, really important. Manual team building is probably the most important thing you could learn to do in this game. It beats out anything else you could possibly do. So yeah, avoid recommended party. I would recommend never touching that for the most part, unless you're crazy overpowered and you just don't want to mess around with a fight. Otherwise, make all your teams, whether co-op or solo, make them manually. It'll go really, really, really far in comparison to anything else. So, and then we already kind of went over the R abilities there. I guess I can touch on them a little bit more. If you don't understand R abilities real quick, these kind of boost your stats. Every weapon is going to have an R ability. As it says here, sub-equip, sub-weapons will reflect 50% of the points shown, right? So again, for these 3 right here, these are, even though it says main equip, it's actually not correct. So, you're only going to get half even of your main equip. So you need to pay attention to that. If you get to a point where, say, hey, Sephiroth right here is maxed on magic attack, it really is not going to do you much good to focus on getting any more of this magic attack. From that point on, you want to start looking at, hey, where else can I get damage from? I can get damage from boost attack, right? It's not as high, but it still gives me some stats. Then you have things like boost magic ability, potency. The way this works, and I'll show you, is when you are a max attack stance gauge, this gives you extra bonus damage only when you're at max gauge. If you're even a sliver off, it won't give you the full boost of that you want to do. And I've seen a lot of people not understanding this, and they don't utilize it, and they miss a ton of damage, anywhere from an additional 50 to 200% damage that a lot of players miss out on. So I'm actually going to show you an example of that here and how this works. So we're going to go ahead and go to a fight. We'll use Sephiroth Crash Fight here, since he doesn't do anything much up front. And I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to use Cloud for this example. The reason why I'm going to use Cloud is because he's got quite a bit of ability, physical ability potency up on him. So right now, what this means is when he hits max attack gauge, he's going to do an additional 45% damage. That's a good chunk of damage. If you have higher weapons, I could even get this higher if I want. For this example, I can actually swap this out here. If I switch this in, this is going to take it even higher, because this Zidane sword has even more physical ability potency up. So now if I go back in and check, yep, so now we're at 45, now we're at 60%. This is one of the biggest ways you can get big damage added on, and it applies to all damage you do across the board, as long as it's physical. So that could be from your summon, it's going to be from your physical attack. It just won't affect magic. So, like I was saying with the stat materia here, this materia gives me big physical attack, good HP, big physical defense. So that's why I have it here. I'm never going to use it, but it's useful. And again, like I said, this is a big lightning build, so I have him set up with Ramu up top for extra damage. So I'm going to show you how this option works, this R ability that I was discussing, when it comes to the full stance meter. So when we get into the fight, the first thing you want to do in almost any fight is get that stance meter up to maximum. That is where you're going to do the most damage. So I'm going to switch over to Cloud here. And as my meter is building, right now, we are actually only getting, in attack stance, you get 25% attack boost to both physical and magical. All abilities will destroy sigils, and then also you get +1 when you have a matching sigil that breaks it. So if you are doing, like, say if you're in a sigil phase and you're in defense mode and somebody hits with a sigil, not even a sigil move, not only do you lose out on just destroying an extra sigil, but you also, if you don't have that sigil, you completely negate having any sigil being broken or destroyed at all. So right now you're gonna see I'm gonna hit him here with Thunderstrike. So we just hit him for 1873, right? So when I get up to max gauge here, even though I'm gonna get an additional 25% boost to my damage when I hit max, I'm gonna do even further beyond that. So normally, here you go. Now we're gonna do that, and look at that. So the damage just jumped up to 1310. So we went from about 5,000 damage to 1310. We almost tripled our damage. So that's the combination of the full stance meter being at max. So instead of a 25% boost, we get the 50% boost. Then at the maximum meter, I get that, like I was mentioning, I get the extra physical potency that I was lacking. A lot of people miss out on this and don't understand that that you want to actually, if you're swapping, say, for a defensive option, because, you know, he's actually going to use an option up here that's going to kill me. I'm not strong enough to defend against it right now, but if a lot of people will swap into defense mode, and I'll show you what happens. If I swap into defense mode here, the bar is going to start dropping, even just a tad, right? And I swap it back, I don't get that potency again. So even if I hit right now, look at that. I'm only doing 8,300, so I'm not getting that full damage that I want out of it. So you want to make sure anytime you attack, you always want to make sure that bar is at max. If you were just at defense stance, and then you swap back to attack stance, don't attack right away. Let that bar get, even if it's, like I said, just a tiny bit, let that bar get all the way back up, then hit the attack button. You're going to do extra damage just across the board every single time. And if you keep doing that and you're swapping back and forth and you're missing damage, that could be 100,000 damage you're missing out through an entire fight, and that can make or break the entire fight for you. That same thing applies to summons, all kinds of things. So you want to make sure you really, really focus on that. And that's one thing a lot of people miss out on. I've even seen high players, whales, not doing that thing. And it's a big miss that I see a lot of people doing. So I'd highly recommend you pay attention to that and do that. And the last thing I kind of want to touch on here is just buffs and debuffs, just applying them efficiently. A lot of times people will stack buffs or not do them as they should. Most of the time, the way you want to do buffs is you want to set the buff or debuff, whichever it may be, and then just leave it alone. And the reason why is because the way buffs work in this game, when you use a buff on top of another buff, it doesn't reset the entire counter. It only adds a limited time to it, right? So we'll use a summon quest here as an example for this. Let's go ahead and check out. Let's go just do Ifrit here, and we'll pick a little bit of a toughie. That way he doesn't die right away. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and pick the Ifrit, and then I'm going to show you here. We're going to swap Cloud, use him as an example. We're going to put on this weapon here, Bandage Sword. So what this does is this puts a magical defense buff on everybody, on the entire party, 2 stacks, and it's going to go for 12 seconds, right? So this is where I'm saying that this is where I'll show you where sometimes doing multiple buffs may not be the optimal play. It's going to depend, and this is going to apply both to enemies as well, because sometimes, you know, it may not be worth it depending on how long it's going to last, especially if you can notice, hey, that buff or debuff that I have it's blinking, like the little emblem. You'll want to make sure that if it's blinking, don't even apply the buff yet. Wait till it's almost done blinking and then start to use the move to apply it, because all you're going to be doing is you're going to be only adding 4 seconds, for instance, on this weapon, versus if you let it completely go away and then reapply, you get 12 seconds out of it. So that's an additional 8 seconds that you're getting. And so you're really wasting your ATB if you're only adding 4 seconds. The only time that's really going to be useful is if there's a move that you cannot survive otherwise, and you need to apply it like twice in a row, and you know, you'll have this planned out for that Sephiroth fight. I actually have to do that. It's the Sanctuary will help you out here. That's what you'll want to do. So I'll show you an example here with that. You don't want to just keep applying buffs on yourself. You probably won't deal with this too much in co-op, but this is a thing you'll deal with in single player content, especially with big enemies. So I'll show you an example here once we load up. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna grab Cloud here, and then I'm gonna slow it down. So what I'm gonna do is get through these guys here first. Yeah, he's gonna probably just destroy them real quick. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to apply Sanctuary here, and so watch what happens. So you can see the buff is on me. Everybody's got magic defense buff right now. And then that'll hold over to the next fight, which is fine. Alright, so now we still have it, and then what I'm going to do is, like I said, it's 12 seconds, it's starting to blink. Hey, I'm going to apply it again. I see it's about to run out. Bam, we applied it again. Oh, you know what? It actually didn't apply again. I messed up. So, like on this one, if I waited not quite as long... Alright, so I'm going to apply it now. Because it is... There you go. So, see how I applied it back again? I'm at 3 stacks. But look at that. It's already back to blinking, and it's gone. Right? So, I applied it twice. I used 8 ATB total, but it just went away instantly. I didn't get much out of it. Now, if you need it ASAP, you know, you need that level 3, then go ahead and, you know, do it twice in a row. You get that level 3, and you stay at that level 3 for an extended period of time. A little bit longer, see? So, and that applies to all buffs, even debuffs on enemies. If I do the same thing, I don't have her, you know, I have Mana Ward here, right? So, perfect example. I can apply Mana Ward to somebody if I need to. You know, defensive options. Oh, look at Cactuar. That never happens. You know, apply that, and then if I apply it again, same concept. So, Mana Ward here, if you hold on to this, it says it's a 38-second duration. If I do it again, it gives me 12 more seconds. So again, in certain cases, you might have to do that. Say if it's a single target big damage hit, you need to apply it twice, that's fine. But if you're doing it for a long-term thing, especially if it's attack buff or a defense down on the enemy, you usually want to either, you don't want to reapply it right at the end when it's going to run out. You're better off just letting it run out and then applying it. Otherwise, you're really wasting a lot of your ATB. So applying buffs and debuffs efficiently is another thing that I see people not doing properly. You know, so you definitely want to learn how to do that. And so this is just some of the, I would say, just the plain basics of the battle. That probably the most main overlooked one is that full stance meter. A lot of people seem to miss that, or they don't do that properly. So if you focus on that, I would say, if there's the biggest key takeaway from this, you know, don't do auto equip if you can avoid it. Make all your teams manually. Pay attention to those R abilities, and then also the attack stance. Focus on that attack stance. And then another little thing, if you weren't aware that if you go into defense mode, also I can show you here real quick. Shouldn't take long. If we go into defense mode and heal, you actually get a better heal as well. So this one should be pretty straightforward, but just to cover all the bases here, we can just go into this Sephiroth fight and use Aerith for this example. So if you're in attack mode and you heal, your heal will not be as good as if you're in defense mode. Defense mode gives you a 50% boost to heal. So anytime you go to heal, you want to always swap to defense mode. If you're not doing that, you're missing out on extra HP you could be healing. So I'll show you a perfect example right here. He's going to drop everybody else down to 1. The first heal, I'm going to go ahead and do in attack mode, and then the second one, I'm going to go ahead and do in defense mode, and you'll see the difference. Alright, so he's going to lower everybody to 1 here. Alright, so I'm going to do a Kurega. This will heal everybody. So Aerith just healed by 1268. Now I'm going to do it in defense mode, and watch how much more I heal this time around. I'm going to go ahead and do it in defense mode. This time I'm 1948, so I gained 700 more HP, a 50%, straight up 50% boost. Actually a little bit more because of the setup. So again, you want to always go into defense mode, and then you're going to want to swap right back to attack mode. And that's where a lot of people make the mistake of, they swap out to defend, they go back into attack, and then they start attacking right away. But you don't want to start attacking right away. You want to see how the meter drops when you're in defense mode. So these guys over here, they're attacking, they're not actually getting maximum damage, right? So like right now, I'm grabbing Seth. See how I'm not at max here? I'm gonna let it wait till max. Max pops up, then I will go ahead and attack. I'll show you another example again. We're gonna heal here. I'm gonna heal. I'm gonna swap over to Sephiroth. I'm gonna go back into attack mode. We're gonna wait till this hits max. There we go. Now we're gonna attack. And you want to do the same thing. You want to do that with all your units. So if you, without doing that, you're going to lose out on a lot of damage. So that's kind of the strategy behind that. Swap to defense, heal, switch back to attack, wait till that meter is, or the stance gauge is all the way up to max, then hit your attack. Don't do it unless, like, say, the only time you would really do it is say, hey, you're in a sigil phase or something, you need to get that sigil down ASAP. But you're still missing out on a possible, you're missing out on a sigil, an extra sigil you could break by being at max, because at max it goes up to +2 versus on just not a full attack stance, it's only at +1. So just pay attention to a lot of those basics, and that should help you guys out a lot here. Thank you for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to hit like and subscribe. You can catch me live every single day on Twitch and YouTube, so be sure to check the links down below in the description for my channels, and I will see you guys on the next video.